Hello, hello, and welcome to this hybrid expert workshop. My name is Ryan Levesque, and I'm your host here today. And I could not be more excited to welcome you to this special live session that is happening right here, right now. If you haven't already done so, and you might be catching this on another platform like YouTube or Facebook, I want to encourage you to head on over to the special link that we have where we are interacting live right here, right now, over at hybridexpert.com/live. If you haven't already done so, head on over to that link. That is where all the action is happening, all the fun is happening, and all the activities are happening right here, right now, today. I am so excited for today's session. And for everybody who is here right now, I want to officially welcome you to the first session in this hybrid expert workshop here today. Before we get started, I would love to hear from you. I want to hear from you right now. And the way you do that is by heading over to that link, hybridexpert.com/live, and it will take you to a screen that looks a little something like this right here. And you want to head on over and look for the live chat on the right-hand side, and you will see that there's a ton of activity happening right now. I would love to hear from you to kick things off and to let me know where in the world you are watching from right here, right now. All you need to do is just post inside the chat. Let me know where you are watching this from, and I'd love to give you a little bit of a shout out here for those of us who are here when we kick things off in this session. So welcome everybody here. Yes, welcome Dave, welcome Amy from Texas. Great to have you here. Great to see you here. Udal from Kauai. Tara, welcome back from Birmingham, Michigan. Great to see you here. Hey, Emma from Calgary, Canada, and Sunny from Germany. Vanessa from Missouri. Ray, Middle America. Hey, Heva from Australia. KL from Brooklyn. Heidi from Jayburg, Australia, South Africa, excuse me, and Craig from Sydney, Australia. Jane, hey, from Scotland, and Devi from Sarasota, Florida. Great to have you here. Naya from California, Amelia from Portugal, lovely. Alora from Oklahoma, Madi from Algeria, Tamara from Nashville, Tennessee, Deborah from Virginia, USA, Kathleen from Belgium. Gosh, we got such an international crew here today. I'm very, very excited to have you here. Hey, Tom from Belgium as well. And I see Michelle from France and Troy from Marina del Rey, Steph from Fort Myers, Florida, Patricia, Napa, California, Lois from Spain, Wade from Holland, Michigan, that is, Wendy from North Carolina, John from Los Angeles. I can't even keep up with how fast things are moving right now. You have found the chat. You are officially in the right place. Very, very excited here today. Now, I want to let you know before we dive right in right now that this is a highly interactive session. We're going to be covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time. So first thing that I recommend that you do is get something that you can take some notes with. You want to get yourself a nice piece of paper that you can take some notes with. Make sure you've got a pen or pencil. You might want to have a few different pens and pencils in different colors because we're going to be doing a lot of interactive work here today. We're going to be taking a lot of notes. I highly encourage that you've got something to take some notes with. And speaking of notes, for those of you who might be interested in getting access to my notes that I'm going to be sharing with you here on today's session, we'll talk a little bit about how to get access to this notes. The way you get access is you've got to be here live. You got to be participating all the way through the end. And I'll give you a special secret set of instructions to get access to these notes here today. You're going to get access in this workshop to a number of resources and tools and handouts. Plus, you have the opportunity to get your questions answered in several live Q&A sessions that we're going to be hosting. Plus, I've got some surprise gifts and secrets that I'll be sharing with you along the way. So with all that being said, now that we've gotten some of that housekeeping out of the way, let me pull up my screen here and officially welcome you to the Hybrid Expert Workshop. If you bear with me 1 second, I'll pull this up and we should be good. So once again, my name is Ryan Levesque, CEO of the Ask Method Company, and I want to welcome you to this Hybrid Expert Workshop for getting more clients and at the same time, in addition to that, let me make this work. In addition to that, building a simple, scalable, stress-free business. Again, I'm your presenter and your host here today, Ryan Levesque. And today we are in part one of this three-part workshop here today, which is the Great Client Attraction Paradox. And we're going to be talking about what that is and what that means and how this affects you and potentially your business as well. A quick earnings disclaimer before we get started. I'll be sharing some examples. I'll be going through some different scenarios. I'll be giving you a sneak peek into my business and sharing some of the results that I've gotten along the way. And look, as we all know, unique experiences and past performance do not necessarily guarantee future results. So all the reference examples and testimonials are not intended to be representative of typical results, nor are they a guarantee or promise of any results. Rather, as you know, individual success will vary and is due to a myriad of factors such as effort and knowledge and technique and timing and experience and all that good stuff and much, much more. All right, so with all that being said, we are going to kick off the Hybrid Expert Workshop for getting more clients and building a simple, scalable, stress-free business. And in this workshop here today, we are going to be covering an approach to transform your expertise into income by building a business that works around your life instead of the other way around. And this is something that you'll be able to use whether you transform your expertise into income using coaching, consulting, teaching, training, writing, speaking, or you do a hybrid of multiple things in your business. In fact, we're going to be engaging in a number of micro exercises together. We're going to take inventory of where you are at right now in your business, and we're going to craft a path from where you are right now to where you want to be. We're going to explore what's currently working right now in the world today, what's currently not working in the world, and what's not working in your business right now. We're going to help you identify the biggest bottlenecks and opportunities in your business. And for those of you who are interested in continuing the journey together after this week-long workshop ends, at the end of this workshop, I'll be making this promise to you right now. I will be fulfilling on this promise. I will be making a special invitation for those of you who are interested or even just curious to enroll in a much deeper paid opportunity to work more closely with myself and my team. But for now, let's dive into our first micro exercise. And this is going to be an easy one to get things going. We're going to use the live chat for this. And this is kind of our stretch our muscles, crack our neck, and let's do a bit of a warm up here on this exercise here today. So first micro exercise that we are going to be working on right now is head on over to the chat. And I would love to kind of get a sense for who is here right now and the type of way that you transform your expertise into income in your business. So I'm going to present you on my screen with a series of options, and I'd love for you to just choose the option that best describes you and then type that word inside the chat. And I'll take a moment to read off some of our answers right here. So when you transform your expertise into income, if you think about your business and what you do, which of the following best describes how you do that? Do you do that through, for example, do you do that through coaching? Do you do that through consulting? Do you do that through teaching? Do you do that through writing? Do you do that through speaking? Or do you do that through a hybrid of several different things in your business? Maybe you don't really fit in any one box, but you do a combination of different things in your business. Head on over to the chat that we have on the page over at hybridexpert.com/live. And let me know inside the chat. I'd love to get a sense for who's here. It's going to help me customize today's session based on you. And loving seeing these answers. Marcia says I do a bit of a hybrid. Tom says consulting. Naya says a hybrid. Emma says hybrid. Lucy says hybrid. Patricia says hybrid. Clive says hybrid. Ruth says coaching, consulting, and teaching. I would certainly call that a hybrid of several different options. Chantel says coaching. Heba says hybrid. Petra says hybrid. Gary says consulting. Paula, hybrid. Amina, hybrid. Jess, hybrid. Heidi says consulting. Lynn says hybrid. Dawn says hybrid. Tess says coach one-on-one and head coach in other people's community. Beautiful. Hybrid of several different things right there. Consulting, hybrid. Tamara says hybrid. Mike says hybrid. Lara says hybrid. Vanessa says hybrid. So looking at the kind of numbers and how they're stacking up right now, it looks like we've got an interesting combination. Now, what I'll say is this. Whether you transform your expertise into income through coaching, whether you do it through consulting, like I know a number of us do, whether you do it through teaching or training, or you use a hybrid of different things in your business, whether you have an established business right now, which I know some of you might have, whether you have a business that you're literally just getting started and you're a total beginner, or you're kind of somewhere in between those two places, I want to let you know right out of the gate, you are in the right place. This is the right place for you. You are in the absolute right place right now based on where you are at. Let me give you a sneak peek into what we're going to be covering at this workshop here today, as we kind of talk about what we're going to be focusing on. So first things first, in this workshop, we're going to cover, as promised, how to get more clients and at the same time, build a simple, scalable, stress-free business. We're going to do it in a different sort of way, though. It's going to be a very interactive experience. You're going to be invited to participate. And like most things in life, the more that you put in, the more you get out. And so I invite you to play out. I invite you to participate in these exercises. I invite you to really engage in this process, which is really designed to help you. Today, we're going to cover what is that great client attraction paradox that I teased at the beginning of our conversation and why it's the #1 thing that holds most people back. Whether you right now are struggling with audience building and engagement, whether you're struggling with time management and productivity and actually making time to focus on your business because of all the demands that you have in your life, whether you're struggling with financial concerns and actually generating income, whether it's generating your first dollar or maybe breaking through a certain level, like a 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 or $1 million level in your business, whether you struggle with marketing and sales and putting yourself out there, whether tech is the thing that holds you back and you struggle with tech and automation, whether you're looking to transition and pivot your business. Maybe you're coming from one place and you're looking to transition into a new model. Whether you struggle with personal challenges or mindset, all the things that can get in our way when we think about the reasons why we don't move forward from a mindset perspective. Or if you're simply struggling to scale your business and put systems in place, you're in the right place. And you're going to find in a few moments why this can all be traced back to that great client attraction paradox that I introduced. And by the way, if you're wondering what that is and how it affects you and your business, we're going to talk all about what that is a little bit later in this workshop. But first, we're going to cover how to give yourself a raise without working more hours in today's session. We're going to cover how to vastly simplify your business at the same time. We're going to identify where you are right now and where you want to get to in 12 months from now in 3 key areas in your business. And we're going to identify what those are. We're going to establish a plan of action on how to get there using a 5-step process in each of these key areas. And we're even going to be taking a look, not today, but a little bit later in this workshop, inside the brand new Bucket AI technology that we are literally introducing to the world this very week. You get to get a first look at this technology before anybody else. And this technology is something that makes it possible to condense months, or in some cases, years of work into just a matter of days, and much, much more. But before we go any further, I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to a few of the folks that you're going to be learning about and getting to know a little bit better over the course of this week-long workshop, who are using the techniques and the strategies and the tactics that you're going to be learning about in today's session and more in their own businesses right here, right now. So with that said, team, let's take it away.
When I first joined, I was absolutely bombing, and I went from like 0 conversion to like 32% conversion.
Through the DDS, I come back to them and speak to them in their language, and everything has been, it's been fantastic.
I've been really happy with Bucket. The team over there, first of all, they've got really great instincts. They're all really great designers. They know what they're doing. And then secondly, anytime where I even had like a nitpicky change, you know, I just was able to get the support that I needed.
The success path wasn't always a thing, but I remember when you presented it, when the team presented it, I'm like, oh, this really makes the path so concrete. And so the success path helps me get focused.
I now have a strategy in place that actually converts people into leads.
We have been able to free up a lot of our time, and that has been the main difference, the huge difference in our experience.
Now, we've been working with coaches, consultants, and experts for many, many years in our business, and we have seen a common trend, something that happens, a phenomenon that happens virtually every single time. And I'll share exactly what that is as I pull up my screen here. And you bear with me one moment as I do that. And you should see a screen in just a moment that should pull up right here. Beautiful. That looks a little something like this. Now, whether you do coaching or you do consulting, whether you do some teaching or training, whether you do some speaking or some writing in your business, or like I know many of us here at today's session, you do a hybrid, a combination of multiple things in your business. What we found is that there is a predictable path that virtually every expert goes through in their business. And it looks a little something like this. And again, if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to take something out that you can take some notes with so you can jot this down yourself. We're going to go through a number of different frameworks and models, a number of different step-by-step approaches here. And I encourage you to have something that you can actually engage with and take notes on as we go through this process. Now, it looks a little something like this in this process that you see on the screen. What you'll see here is that what we find is that every expert, whether you're a coach or consultant, you do a combination of different things, goes through these 3 stages of business growth on their path to success. And these 3 stages involve 2 key transitions in business. Now, I'll talk a little bit about what these transitions are and what these stages are in just a moment. Now, this predictable path looks a little something like this. When we first get started in our business, we start on the left-hand side here, where you've got the label BB, and you can see here the BB in this case, in case you're wondering, stands for, the B stands for, as I put this on my screen, it stands for bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Because let's face it, when we first get started in our business, and we are a B for beginner, the world is all but possibility, right? We have this massive vision that we've set for ourselves in our business, and we're excited about everything that we want to build. We look at everything as optimists, as entrepreneurs, with what can make happen and be made happen in our business. And inevitably, at some point along the way, we have the courage to decide to make the first big transition. We call this first transition the leap. Now, the leap is where we first decide to go into business for ourselves. Remember that moment for you when you made the decision that you were going to start your own business, you're going to go off on your own? Yeah, for many of us, it's a pivotal moment in our lives and certainly in our career. We have the courage to decide that we're going to do this. We're going to take the leap. And so we start this business. But what ends up happening in most cases is that instead of building the business of our dreams, we end up in a place of nightmares. And we call this the T box. Now, the T box in this case right here stands for tired and trapped. For many of us, we sought out to build a business that would work around our life, that would give us freedom and flexibility and fulfillment. But what ends up happening is we end up feeling tired and trapped. We end up working more hours than we ever expected. We end up making less money than we ever thought we would. And we question ourselves. We wonder, why did I ever make this decision in the first place? And we have these moments where we are sitting in the valley of despair, where we're living in the messy middle. And we wonder, are we ever going to get out of this place of feeling tired and trapped? And at some point along the way, for many of us, we end up in a place where this business that we've created for ourselves, as one of my mentors once described, becomes a prison that we are inside of. We become responsible for the prison that we are inside of right now, and we're left feeling tired and trapped. But again, the goal that we set out for in launching our business was to reach a place of what we call this F stop over here, which is a place of freedom and flexibility, and of course, fulfillment in our life. A business that works around our life instead of the other way around. So how do we get there? How do we get from this place of tired and trapped to freedom and flexibility? Well, this is where the second transition comes in. We call this transition right here something known as the switch. And it's not until we're willing to make the switch that we're able to go from this place over here of tired and trapped to this business that achieves freedom and flexibility, a business that works around our life. So what is this switch all about? Well, the switch is all about one word, one key concept, which is going to be a central concept as we explore this path in today's session here today. And this switch all has to do with this one thing that we call leverage. Now, when I say leverage, I know the word leverage can mean different things to different people in different contexts. When I'm talking about leverage here today, what I'm referring to is decoupling your income from your time. Decoupling your income from your time. Now, we're going to go back to this concept of leverage here in a moment. But before we do so, I'd love to kind of get a sense for where you are right now in your journey. So I presented a predictable path that experts follow, myself included. I've gone through the same path myself, so I'm not excluding myself from this path right here. But as you look at the path that we had on the screen just a moment ago, I'd love to invite you inside the chat to let me know where you are in your own journey. So of those 2 steps that we pulled up on the screen just a moment ago, what we call the leap and the switch, which of the following best describes where you are right now? Are you in the process right now of making the leap, starting your business and getting things off the ground, making that transition from maybe working a day job to launching your side hustle or getting your business off the ground? Or are you making the switch right now? Are you in the process of going from a place where you might not have the leverage in all aspects and areas of your business, but you would love to make that transition to a place of freedom and flexibility? Or of course, option number 3, you might say, I've arrived, baby. I've got it all figured out. I don't even need to be here right now. And if that's the case, let us know. If you've arrived, if you've gotten everything figured out right now, if that's the case, I would love to learn from you and invite you to do so. So again, where are you right now? Are you making the leap? Are you making the switch? Go ahead, post inside the chat thread. Again, it's going to help me customize today's session to you and really speak to you based on the situation that you're in right now. I'm going to take a look at the screen. I see the comments coming in fast and furious right now. Love it. See, Petra says, I'm making the switch. Patricia says, making the leap, but I'm tired, making the leap, but I'm tired and trapped. Clyde says, I'm making the leap. Mike says, I'm making the leap. Texan says, I'm making the switch. Soph said, I'm making the switch. Soph says, I am in the tired and trapped box for sure, looking to make the switch. Pamela says the leap. Amy says the leap. Patrick says the leap. Bill says the switch. Chaya says the leap. James says, I'm in the tired and trapped box right now. Ross making the switch. Yasmin making the leap. Latanya says, I'm still at B, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I haven't invested much, but now's an opportunity to dive in. This is your moment right here, right now, today. I love it. So I'm going to pull up on my screen again, this diagram, so you can kind of take a look at where you might be right now and really what the implications are I'm going to describe in just a moment. So as I pull this up on my screen, you'll see once again, the leap and the switch. Now, you might be wondering, if you are right now in this place right now where you're looking to make the leap, how might this apply to you, what we're talking about here today? Well, if you are in the position that you are making the switch, you're eyeing to go from here to here, I can tell you we are going to outline the path to take you from tired and trapped to freedom and flexibility using this hybrid expert model that I'll be rolling out to you beginning here today. Now, for those of you who are back here and said, like, I haven't had the experience of being tired and trapped, so how does this apply to me? Well, the good news is by following the same methodology, you're going to be able to skip this messy middle, skip this prison and go straight from here to here, which is the path I wish I had when I was in that stage of my own business. And by the way, no matter where you are right now in your business, whether you are at the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed place, tired and trapped, somewhere in between, I want to let you know that I can completely relate to your story. In fact, if you know anything about my personal story right now, you may know from what you've read or from what you've seen that I am a former overworked coach and consultant who, by achieving leverage, was able to build a highly profitable, more than $10 million a year business working from home, which is kind of where I am right now. I'm just nothing fancy. I'm just in a very simple setup right now. But I've done it using this hybrid expert approach. I remember when I was a beginner, I was working a job and I had dreams of being my own boss. Much to the chagrin of my team, pulled up some old photos to really bring this to life. You can see right here. These are some photos of a younger Ryan right here. You could see that when I first wanted to start my business, I was a total beginner. And I was working a job, like many of us here. At some point, I was working a job, but I really wanted to break free from that career. And I had dreams of being my own boss. And so eventually I had the courage to make the leap. I left my job and decided to go off on my own. And unfortunately, I thought I was going to, kind of hit it off and be successful out of the gate. But very quickly, I landed in the place of feeling tired and trapped. Within a short while, I was making decent money. it wasn't that long that I was making $160,000 a year as a coach and consultant. So I was making six figures as a coach and consultant on my own, but I was working all the time. I was working all the time. I mean, I had, I think at one point I had over 25 clients. I was working 14-hour days. I had some weeks that I'd work 100 hours a week. And then something happened in my life that changed everything. My first son was born. You can see right here, my first son was born. It's my little guy right here when he was just a few months old. And it was shortly after my son's birth that I mysteriously started losing weight. You can see right here in this photo right here with my son. I weighed about 130 pounds. Just to put in perspective, right now, I weigh about 180, 85 pounds. I could probably lose a few pounds, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, 180, 85 pounds. I had lost over 50 pounds in weight I did not have to lose, and I was mysteriously losing weight. And so I'm working all the time. I'm working 14-hour days, 100 hours a week. And I just thought I wasn't taking great care of my body. And I just needed to do a better job. Along the way, my wife said, all right, you're a father now. It's really, really important that you are here for the family. So I think it's important that you apply for life insurance. So being the dutiful husband that I am, I applied for life insurance and promptly found out that I was denied coverage, totally denied coverage, as you can see here on my screen. And I thought it was a mistake, because the only way that you get denied life insurance coverage is if you have something that is seriously wrong with you health-wise. I mean, you can be overweight, you can have unhealthy lifestyle habits, and you can still get life insurance. It'll cost you a bit more money. So I remember I spoke to the life insurance agent, and the life insurance agent said, look, I'm not a doctor, but I have your lab results in front of me, and I think you need to go see a doctor. And so I told my wife what had happened. Next day, we went to the doctors, and the doctor, after I told my story to the doctor, said, well, let's order some lab results. We'll get him ordered stat, wait here in the waiting room, and I'll be right back out as soon as they're ready. And I remember it like it was yesterday. The doctor went out to the waiting room, grabs me by the shoulders, and he says, Mr. Levesque, you should be in a coma right now. We've got to rush you to the emergency room. And that's exactly what they did. And I'd found that I was basically pushing myself so hard that my body was beginning to shut down. And my body had an autoimmune response and started attacking my organs. And what had happened is I'd slipped into a state known as diabetic ketoacidosis, which, if you're not familiar, what that means is that I had such highly elevated blood sugar levels because my pancreas had effectively stopped working. These are what a normal blood sugar level should be. These are my blood sugar levels. I had reached a blood sugar level of over 400, and my body was basically shutting down. And you can see this is me in the hospital, and finding out that I fell into the state of diabetic ketoacidosis was incredibly scary. DKA, as it's known, is a condition where you can actually die in less than 24 hours. I found out that my kidneys were failing, and that my liver was shutting down, and my pancreas had stopped working entirely. And it was because of an autoimmune response due to the fact that I was putting so much stress on my body. I was squarely in the tired and trapped box in my business, and my body was sending me a message that something had to change. And it was in this moment that it was the catalyst that I decided to make the switch. This is what was my sort of valley of despair moment, where I was at death's doorstep. I had a 6-month-old baby at home, a wife, a family, a young family, and I realized that I had to do something different in my life. And it was the start of a transition that I made, where I went from an old way of doing business to a new way of doing business, which we're going to talk about here today, that transformed my life completely and set me off on the path that I'm in here today. Now, today, having made the switch, I have a business that works around my life. I have an incredible family. We get to live in nature, in the mountains. We recently spent a week visiting our family on the other side of the country, took a trip to New York City. I was in Europe, and we get to do all sorts of really fun and exciting things as a family. This is my family now. I'm happy to say that I've emerged healthy, although I am a juvenile type 1 diabetic. So I'm permanently on an insulin pump and an artificial continuous glucose monitor. And so my life was changed in a major, major way when this happened to me. But it was the catalyst that allowed me to make some shifts in my life. Now, I don't want that for you. I don't want you to have to go through that nightmare experience. I want you to have this. I want you to have the after photo that you see right here in your own life. Along the way, we've been able to build an incredible business. If you haven't really learned about our business and what it is that we do, we've built a 6-time Inc. 5000 fastest growing company in America, a business that served over 14,000 customers. It's a story that's been featured all over national media and the Wall Street Journal and Harvard Business Review and Entrepreneur and Inc. and Forbes and USA Today and more. We have an incredible team of amazing women and men who are supporting you right now in this workshop, among other things. And we've been able to do some things that are really near and dear to our heart. So education is a big cause for us. We've been fortunate enough to build a school in Kenya called the Ask Academy that we support every single year and provide an education to nearly 500 girls and boys around a village in Kenya that otherwise wouldn't have access to an education. Our company and team has raised over $500,000 for an organization called Kiva.org, providing microfinance to entrepreneurs in parts of the world that don't have access to stuff that you and I have. They don't have access to workshops like this. They don't have access to a computer. They don't have access to the internet, or in some cases, even clean drinking water. And so we've been able to do some things that we're really proud of. And it all has to do with making a shift, making that switch. And it's all because that I was able to achieve leverage in 3 key areas of my business. And we call these areas the 3 key pillars. So I want to take a look at what these key pillars are and how they relate to you and how you can use them in your business. So you can go from wherever you are right now to that place of freedom and flexibility and fulfillment in your own business. So you have a business that works around your life and not the other way around. So let's take a look at what these key pillars are and how they work. So if you look on my screen, you're going to see that I pull up another diagram right here, which I encourage you to take a moment to sketch out yourself that looks a little something like this. Now, we call these 3 key pillars the 3 key areas of every business that if you transform your expertise into income, you must have dialed in. And they are as follows: attract. Next is enroll. And last but not least is deliver. Attract, enroll, deliver. Now, just to kind of dimensionalize what this means and what these are, attract is how you attract leads into your world, how you attract an audience, how you attract people into your ecosystem in the first place. Enroll is how you transform those leads into paying clients, and deliver is how you deliver results, how you deliver the transformation that you deliver through your products and services in your business. And one of the things that I learned from one of my mentors that had a huge impact on me is the power of what we call 1, 1, 1. And that's this: as an expert to build a successful 6 or even 7-figure business or beyond, all we need is 1, 1, 1. We need 1 way to attract, 1 way to enroll, and 1 way to deliver. In fact, for many people, the biggest reason why they don't succeed in their business is because they add far too much complexity. They have too many products, too many services, too many elements to what it is that they do, and they let complexity, what we call the black ooze of complexity, creep in to their castle. So think about that image for a moment. Think about your own life. Think about your own business. And think about the ways that complexity creeps in. Technological complexity, business complexity, life complexity. If you think about your life, you think about your business as this castle that you must protect. Imagine the black ooze is trying to make its way in. We need to, at every step along the way, we need to fight off that black ooze of complexity. And one of the biggest secrets to doing so is focusing on what we call 1, 1, 1. There are a million ways to make $1 million. You just got to pick one. That's it. And all we need is 1 way to attract, 1 way to enroll, and 1 way to deliver. Now, this message, when it was shared with me for the first time, hit me like a ton of bricks. And when I was in that hospital bed and I was reflecting on what changes I needed to make in my life, this was the first catalyst that said, all right, I am going to focus my business in one key area, and that's it. Now, you might be asking yourself, when we look at this, let's break this down a little bit further. And what does tired and trapped look like in each of these key areas? Well, let's take a look in more detail. So this diagram that you see on the screen right now, again, which I encourage you to sketch out for yourself so you can follow along, is as follows. Here's how to look at this diagram. We have three key areas in our business: attract, enroll, deliver. You have three key areas in your business: attract, enroll, and deliver. And when we look at each of these pillars in your business, there is a low leverage application of that pillar and a high leverage application of that pillar. So the low leverage version of each of these areas of your business is the thing that keeps you tired and trapped, because you are in the time for money trap. You are exchanging your time in exchange for money, and it puts you in a prison and a never-ending hamster wheel that you can't get out of unless you make the switch. So let's take a look at what this looks like in a little bit more detail right here on my screen. So on the right-hand side, if you're following along with me and you're sketching this out for yourself, I want to encourage you to go ahead and let's write down these little words in these boxes right here. So the low leverage approach is what we call the one-on-one approach, where you are interacting on a one-to-one basis in all of the key facets of your business. In other words, in order for something to happen, it must go through you. Now, the high leverage alternative, the switch focused on leverage, is when you make the transition from focusing on a one-to-one basis to a group basis, which is what we're going to fill into this box right here. You go from focusing on serving people one-to-one to focus on serving people in a group paradigm. So let's take a look at what this looks like in each of these areas. So if we start from right to left, we'll do this in reverse, beginning with the end in mind, beginning with deliver. The tired and trapped version of deliver is where you are working with clients on a one-to-one basis. You've got one-on-one clients that you are serving as a coach, as a consultant, as an expert. The freedom and flexibility getting you to that place that is beyond the switch is when you make a move to focus on a single group program. A single group program, whereby instead of focusing on serving people on a one-to-one basis, you're focused on a group program. On the enroll step, again, where you're transforming leads into clients, what that looks like is this. You go from one-to-one calls, whereby every single client that you generate has to go through some type of conversation with you. Maybe it's getting on Zoom, maybe it's getting on the phone. It could be in the form of a discovery call, an introduction call, a strategy session, an application, whatever it may be that you do and you use in your business, and making the shift to a single presentation. And then finally, on the attract step, we go from having to rely on one-to-one contacts, people that you personally know, or that you've personally met, or that you've personally connected with, whether that's online or offline, one-to-one contacts, to a simple single funnel that is designed to transform strangers on the internet into paying customers. So to put it another way, when we look at these steps right here, going from one-on-one clients to a program, one-on-one calls to a presentation, one-on-one contacts to a funnel, the 1-1-1 is very simply one funnel, one presentation, and one program. That's it. And when you make that switch, you go from focusing on clients to cohorts. You go from conversations to presentations. And you go from contacts to crowds. When I made this switch for myself in my own business, I went from a tired, burned out, overworked consultant making $160,000 a year in the hospital to less than 12 months later, a simple, scalable, stress-free business that made me over $1.1 million. And ever since then, I haven't looked back, making 7 and 8 figures in my business every year sits. That's the power of what this can do. So now, looking at these 3 pillars inside your business, what I'd love to invite you to think on and reflect on is, if you had to choose just one, which of these pillars, if you were able to achieve leverage in your own life, in your own business, which of these pillars would have the biggest impact on your life? So let's pull it up. Inside the chat, I'd love to know, which of these pillars, if you could achieve leverage, would have the biggest impact on your life? Would it be the attract pillar, the enroll pillar, the deliver pillar, or if you're like most people, is it all of the above? Having leverage in all aspects of your business, getting you out of that tired and trapped phase into that freedom and flexibility would have the biggest impact. Go ahead, inside the chat, let me know which of the following best describes you and where you're at. See the comments coming through, fast and furious right now, very, very exciting. Looking at this on my screen, see the comments. Great work. You're at the right place if you are at hybridexpert.com/live. Yes, beautiful. And again, the options are attract, enroll, deliver, or all of the above. Awesome. I love it. All says Lolis. Petra says enroll. Dave says all. Kay says all the above. Michelle says enroll. Jen says all the above. Amina says, no form of training I've ever done has ever told me this. Yeah, we're going to talk some straight talk here, my friend. Donna says all. Amy says all. Fu says all. Another Ryan says all, sir. Graham says all the above. Naya says all of the above indeed. Yes, Bill says all. Abdullah says deliver. Tanya says all. JD says enroll. Mike says all of the above. Yes. When you know, you know. All right. So with all that said, let's start unpacking this a little bit deeper, because once you kind of recognize where you are right now and where you want to go, the next natural question that you might be asking yourself is, okay, so how do I make the transition? Like, you've probably got a good view on where you are right now in your business, where you have leverage, where you are stuck, what is working, what's not working, and maybe some of the areas that you really want to put some time, effort, energy, and attention. So let's take a look at what a transition plan can look like in each of these steps. So once again, I encourage you to take something out to take some notes with so that you can follow along, because we're going to go through a series of micro exercises in this next little segment to take inventory of where you're at right now. So different levels in each of these pillars, where you want to get to, and then we're going to talk about how we make that transition from one step to the next. So with that said, let me pull up my screen once again, and I will do this like this, and you should see a screen that looks a little something like this right here. There we go. So you might want to diagram this out yourself on your page, and we're going to unpack each of these pillars in a little bit more detail. And talk a little bit about what the transition might look like to go from low leverage in each of these pillars to high leverage section by section, pillar by pillar. So let's take a look at these in more detail, one by one. And first things first, we are going to dive into the deliver step first. Okay, so the deliver pillar right here. Let's take a look at each of the steps. So we have something that we call the success path here at the Ask Method Company. It's a success path that we use when we work with clients, when we work with students, to help identify where you are right now and where you want to get to. And once again, there is a predictable path, a proven path to get you from where you are right now to where you want to get to. So as we go through each of these pillars, what I want to invite you to be thinking about is to be thinking about where you are right now. So where you are right now in your business and where you want to get to 12 months from today. So think just a year from now. So just kind of fast forward in your mind. Imagine it's a year later. You're looking back at this very moment. You're remembering the anniversary of having attended this workshop. And like I had my pivotal moment myself, this is your pivotal moment where your eyes are open to this new possibility. And you're looking back, future self, 12 months from now, at this very moment in time. Where do you want to be in that 12-month horizon? Let's take a look at each of these levels one by one. So we have these levels. We call them levels D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. The way to look at this diagram is that down here represents the lowest form of leverage when it comes to delivering your products and services. D5 represents the highest form of leverage when it comes to delivering your products and services. To examine your business, we need to look at each of these key areas one by one. And the reason why we start with your delivery is because it all comes down to that. Oftentimes, people think that the challenge that they have in their business is something that is far removed from the actual way in which they're delivering their products and services. But what happens when we are not decoupled from our time, when our income is tied to our personal time, is that we are in this trap. We cannot spend time in other areas of our business if everything that we're doing is focused on delivering the transformation to our clients. We have no other time than the time that we're actually spending with our clients. So it creates this hamster wheel effect that we can never get out of. So when we are in the low forms of leverage, that's what that looks like. So let's take a look at what the lowest form of leverage is. So the lowest form of leverage, what we call D1, is where you are doing one-to-one custom work for every single one of your clients. And what that means is every single client that you work with, you are creating something new from scratch. It could be a new client engagement. You have one client that maybe you're working 10 hours a week, another client that you're doing 5 hours a month, one client where you're doing this specific project, another client where you're doing a different type of work. And by the way, when you're in the early stages of your business, there's nothing wrong with being at any one of these levels, by the way. There's nothing that is wrong inherently with being with any one of these levels. It's about recognizing where you feel tired and trapped and identifying what level you want to be at and what you want to work toward in your business. So the lowest form of leverage is one-on-one custom work. The next level up, what we call level D2, is where you transition to doing one-on-one work. You're still doing one-on-one work, but you're doing it in a programmatic way. So you've got a one-to-one program whereby every single client that you work with, still led by you, you are still the one doing that client work. But instead of it being sort of different with every client that you take on, you've got a common set of steps that you're taking people through. You've got your system that you're walking people through. It's the same system no matter what, but you're working with each individual client on a one-to-one basis. The next level up, level D3, is where things really begin to switch. Because now for the first time ever, you're making the switch to a group program. A program whereby you are serving people in a group setting. Instead of working with each individual client one-on-one, one at a time, you're now working with a group of people. And if you've got 5 people in this group, you could easily expand that group to serve 6 people, or maybe 10 people, or maybe 100 people even in that same type of setting. And so you have unlocked this first level of leverage whereby you're decoupling your income from your time. But there's another level that goes beyond that, which is when you're doing D3 and you have a group program and all the work is on your shoulders, it's still coming through you. But when you make the switch from D3 to D4, you now have a program, once again, that you are serving people in a group fashion. But now instead of all the work being on your own shoulders, you have yourself plus a team that you have started to assemble that helps you with the actual delivery. You might have an assistant, maybe a helper, maybe a few sub-coaches or people that you work with or partner with that are shouldering some of that delivery requirement so that it's not all on you. Once again, you're further decoupling your time from your income, not being 100% tied to you personally and your income. Last but not least, level 5 is where you have a program that is a group program. But at this point in time, you have installed a team that is 100% responsible for delivering results. Now, what that means is you can take on more clients without any more of your personal time. It doesn't matter how many clients you actually have. Your clients and your income has been completely decoupled from your personal time. So when we look way down here, you have effectively created a job for yourself. And the only way to serve more clients is to work more hours. At this level right here, you've productized your expertise. You've transformed your expertise in the form of a program packaged up in such a way that you can now support and serve people in a group fashion. And up here, you've transformed that program into something that other people can deliver other than yourself. So you can see that no matter where you are right now, there is a place to identify yourself. And no matter where you want to be, there is a level of leverage that works for you. So what I want to encourage you to do right now is just reflect based on what you know about yourself, what you know about your business, where you are right now. If you had to choose, which of the following best describes where you are right now, and which of the following of these levels best describes where you want to be? So if you bear with me one second, I'll actually pull up a screen on my screen right now to help go through this exercise right now. And we'll do it inside the chat as you reflect on your answers and you think about yourself. So again, the question is as follows. Pull it up on my screen so we can all see it. Bear with me one moment. If you had to choose, where are you right now and where do you want to be 12 months from now? So A, inside the chats, where are you right now? Are you at level D5, D4, D3, D2, D1? And where would you like to be 12 months from now? D5, D4, D3, D2, D1. So just take a moment to reflect on it right now. And I'm looking at the chat going fast and furious, getting a sense for where you are. D1 headed to D4. Stacy's at D3 headed to D4. I'm at D2. D3, I want to be at D5. D1 to D4. I'm at D2, would love to be at D3 in the next 12 months. D1 to D3. I can certainly see myself moving from one place to the next. And yeah, what I want to be perfectly clear about as you reflect on this answer for yourself is that there is no wrong answer. There are only right answers. This all has to do where you personally feel tired and trapped. If you love doing nothing but one-on-one delivery all day, every day, and it's not creating a negative ripple effect in your business, it's not holding you back from focusing on client enrollment, client attraction, well, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. But if this is something that shows up in a way where you feel like you'd make a shift, you feel like you want to make a switch in this area of your business, then take inventory. Where are you right now and where you want to get to? Because what I will say is this, I'll pull this back up on my screen here so we can take a look at it. There is a path, a proven path to get from one level to the next. We don't go from, I'm doing one-on-one custom work to we wake up on Monday morning and suddenly we have a team of people doing it all for us. It doesn't work like that. And by the way, anybody who promises that that's possible isn't someone who's actually gone through the steps. The reality is this, to get from here to here, there are a series of steps that will get you from point A to point B. You start by doing one-on-one custom work, you transform that into a program, you start enlisting the form of a group to do that, bringing on helpers to make it possible. And at some point, optionally, you might have a team doing it all for you. And by the way, the destination of where you want to be in 12 months is personal to you. If you never aspire to be at level D5, that's perfectly fine. For some of us, you might say, you know what? I would love to have a group program where I'm the one personally delivering the results. Great. By all means, that's perfect. This is a deeply personal exercise for you. All right, let's move on to the next pillar right here. Let's take a look at enroll, and let's take a look at this process right here. So on the enrollment side of the equation, similarly, the lowest form of enrollment, what we call level E1, E for enroll, E1 is where you are doing one-to-one calls. One-to-one calls, whereby in order for someone to pay you money, they must interact with you in some way, shape, or form. It might be in the form of a Zoom meeting. It might be in the form of a phone call. It could be some type of email exchange. But the reality is people are not paying you money unless they talk to you. So you are a bottleneck. The only way that clients are enrolled is when they talk to you. Now, what you'll find as you get deeper in your business, and maybe you've experienced this yourself, and maybe you can let me know inside the chat, is that you can be in that endless loop of nonstop enrollment calls, discovery calls, strategy calls, whatever you want to call them, where it feels like your entire day is spent talking to people who don't want to give you money. And it's exhausting, right? Because you're repeating yourself over and over and over again. You're having the same conversation over and over again. You're saying the same things over and over again. You can't remember, did I say this to this client or this prospective client? Did I not say this to this prospective client? I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, and it is exhausting and will leave you feeling tired and trapped. The first shift, level E2, is where you make the shift to, instead of having one-on-one conversations, you're enlisting the support of some type of live presentation. And in this live presentation, you are able to reach a group of people at the same time. Instead of having to have the same conversation with every single prospective client, you're able to reach people in a group setting. You're able to reach people in a leveraged way. And yeah, sure, you might still have a portion of the conversation with people one-on-one, but instead of having to repeat yourself over and over again, you have the power of a presentation. When that presentation is dialed in to the point that you can say the same thing over and over again, you don't have to keep doing that presentation live, going from E2 to E5. Next level of leverage is where you have a presentation that is recorded. You've dialed in your presentation in such a way that you don't have to deliver it live every single time. Instead, it's so dialed in that all you need to do is hit the playback button. People will hear your message, and you might be behind the scenes answering questions in chat. Sure, you might drive people to a one-on-one call after they've sat through that recorded presentation, but instead of having to do a live workshop or webinar or whatever presentation on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, instead, you're just using a pre-recorded version. That takes us to level 4. Level 4 is where you make a shift from having a pre-recorded presentation that is then driving people to some type of call with you to instead enlisting the support of a team. So yeah, you might be the one delivering the pre-recorded presentation, but instead of having to talk to you to close the sale, to close the enrollment process, you've got an enrollment team, a team of people that you can pass that conversation on to so that all roads don't lead to you. You are no longer the bottleneck in this process. And then last but not least, level E5, where you have a presentation that is recorded, but instead of that presentation need to be recorded or delivered by you, you have a team of people that handles everything. A team of people perhaps delivering these presentations in a pre-recorded way. A team of people that are taking the enrollment calls and conversations after the presentation takes place. So again, a proven path to go from a low leverage where all roads have to go through you and you are the bottleneck, having one-on-one calls every single day, nonstop, to having a system where you've decoupled your income from your time entirely. And you have a team of people that are supporting you along the way. So again, I want to invite you to think about where you are right now in this enroll pillar in your business and where you'd like to be in the next 12 months. Now, again, there are no rules that say that you need to desire to even be at level E5, E4, E3, E2, E1. You get to choose what works for you. You might say, you know what, Ryan, I love doing live presentations all day, every day. And if that's the case, by all means, stick with that. Or you might say, Ryan, I don't want to do any of this anymore. I would love to have a pre-recorded presentation that I could just hit the play button on and not have to repeat myself over and over again. So similar question that we asked a moment ago as you reflect on your business and where you are right now. Where are you as it relates to enroll, and where would you like to be 12 months from today? I'll pull my screen up again. So remember, where are you now and where do you want to be 12 months from now? So we'll look at these set of steps. You can see right here, currently at level E5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Want to be at level E5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead inside the chat. Let me know which best describes you. I'll take a moment to read off some of the great answers that we have right now. See, Lisa says E2, E1 now, want to be at E2 or 3. Bozena says, I'm at E1, E3. I want to be at E5, Bonina says. Caroline says, I'm at E1 and E2 and love to be at E5 in 12 months from now. E1, E3, moving towards E5, says Stacy. I'm now at E1. I want to be at E3. Anna says, I'm at one-on-one calls, 12 months. I would love to be at level E3, pre-recorded presentation. Elizabeth, I'm at E1 right now. I want to be at E3, E4. Kendra's at E1. Karen's at E2, want to get to E4. Allison at E2, want to get to E4 as well. Jennifer's at E1, want to get to E4. Naya's at E1, I want to get straight to E5 in 12 months from now. Ambitious goals for 12 months, I have to say, but that's great. I love that ambition. Beautiful. All right, let's do the same thing again, but now let's take a look at the levels inside of Attract. So once again, I'm going to pull up my screen. I encourage you to write these levels down as well as you think about and reflect on your own business. Let's look at Attract. Similarly, we have 5 levels, A1 through A5. Let's take a look at where you are right now and where you want to be. Lowest form of leverage in Attract is where you are relying on one-to-one contacts. In other words, you're relying on personal relationships that you have with people that you've met. It could be people that you have connected with in your personal Rolodex, people that you meet online, people that you meet offline. But the only way that you are attracting people in your world is on a one-to-one basis. Next level up, A2, is where you are relying on warm communities. So here, instead of relying on just one-to-one relationships that are opening doors one door at a time, instead you've shifted your attention to focusing on communities of people. So you might have one relationship that opens up a whole new community of people to you. Maybe you've got one person that might open up a community via a Facebook group, or maybe you've got someone that is a podcast host that can introduce you to a world of people in a podcast. Maybe there's an association or a group that by speaking on that stage, virtually or in person, it opens up a community of people. You're still having to do the heavy lifting. You're still having to knock on doors yourself. But by opening one of those doors, it doesn't open you up to just one person. It opens you up to a group of people. That's the next form of leverage. A3 is where things once again get interesting, and you're shifting your attention to a funnel. A funnel for the first time that opens the door to cold traffic. In other words, strangers on the internet, people who don't necessarily know who you are, people who you haven't met in real life, people that you haven't connected with in person, but which you are reaching through a cold traffic funnel that's designed to convert strangers on the internet into paying customers and clients. Next level up, A4, you've got that funnel that is designed to attract strangers on the internet, cold traffic. But now you aren't responsible for doing all the work yourself. You might be playing a role in this process. Yes, it might be your videos or your content that goes out in the world on a platform like Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest or whatever platform you might be using. But it's not just you in the equation. Maybe you've got a team of people that help you manage that traffic, that help your social media, that help you with your advertising online. It's not just you alone. And then we have level A5, where we have a funnel designed to attract strangers on the internet, cold traffic once again. But instead of it all being on your shoulders, you've actually taken yourself out of this equation altogether, and you have a team of people that is not only managing your traffic, but is actually creating all the content that brings people into your world. You've completely taken yourself out of the equation, and you've achieved the ultimate form of leverage in this pillar of your business. So once again, we're going to do the same exercise that we've done here. I want to invite you to think about this pillar in your business, the attraction pillar in your business, and identify where you are right now. A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, which of the following best describes. And by the way, if you're doing a mix of different things in any one of these pillars, just identify with the one where you're spending the majority of your time, effort, energy, and money right now. So you might do a mix. You might do some of this right here and some of this right here, but where is the majority of your time, effort, money, energy, and results coming from right now? You might be dipping your toe right here, but the majority of what you're doing is down here. So choose the level that best aligns with where you are getting the bulk of your results and spending the bulk of your effort and energy and money right now. Once again, we'll pull that question up on the screen, which best describes where you are right now and where do you want to be. So bear with me 1 second. I'll pull this up, take a look inside the chat. Same exercise again. Answer the question when it comes to attract, where are you right now and where do you want to be 12 months from now? Go ahead. So where you are right now, answer A, currently at level A 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Want to be at level 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll leave these levels up, give you an opportunity to reflect on this, post it inside the chat. And then I'll reveal where we all are. See this right now, want to get from A1 to A4. Want to get from A3 to A5, says Tony. Lisa says, I want to get from A1, doing a little bit of A2, want to do more A2 and more A3. That's the spirit. I love the encouragement right here. I'm at A1, but we thrilled to be at level A3. I'm at A2, want to be maybe at 4, maybe at 5, 12 months from now. Now, the beautiful thing about this approach, the hybrid expert approach allows you to do a hybrid of more than one thing. You don't need to necessarily restrict yourself to only do one thing at one level. You can do a combination that serves you. The transition to go from any one of these spaces, as I pull it up on my screen here again, can involve a hybrid of several different things. You're not restricted to just making the leap from one step to another. In fact, the real approach to making this transition is transition gradually from one of these levels to the next. From here to here doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stop doing all the custom work on day one. It means that you want to scale that back so that you can make more room for this. The way that you go from one-on-one programmatic work and switch to a group program is not necessarily shutting the spigot off on the one-on-one work. It's dialing it down and incrementally making the transition. When I pivoted my business and I went from $160,000 as a burnt out consultant in a hospital bed to making $1.1 million in the next 12 months, that was a series of incremental shifts that I made myself in my business. That is how it happens. And that is how it lasts. Now, let's take a look at the actual results in case you're curious, because this is not the first time that I've asked a group like our group right here the answer to this question. And what we found is that the results are consistent time and time again. So if you bear with me 1 second, I'll pull this up on my screen. I'll invite you to check this out right here. So check it out. When we look at the numbers right here on Enroll, in case you're curious with what this actually looks like, when we go through this process, the results often look a little something like this. This is where the results are skewed. And time again, what we find is that where people are at right now as experts, as coaches, as consultants is at level D1 or D2, but consistently where we want to be is D3, D4, D5. That's where all the leverage is. Similarly, in the enrollment step, where most people are at right now is at E1 or E2, but where we want to be is at E3, E4, E5, because that's where we get the leverage. And when it comes to attraction, where we are right now typically is A1 or A2, and where we want to be is A3, A4, A5, because that is where all the leverage is. And this is what brings up this great client attraction paradox. So what is it? Exactly. Well, now that you have a sense for where you are right now and maybe where you want to be in the next 12 months in each of these killers, you might be asking yourself, all right, so what is the great client attraction paradox that I teased at the beginning of this conversation? Well, the great client attraction paradox is this. Even though what we say we want, even though what we think we want is more clients, what we really want is something else. Because more clients actually equals more work. And what we certainly don't want is more work. Instead, what we really want in our business is more leverage. This is what we really want. What we really want is a simple, scalable, stress-free business that allows us to decouple our income from our time, where you've decoupled your income from your time in a way that gives you freedom and flexibility. In fact, if we were to sum it all up, the current state for most experts, most coaches, most consultants is somewhere right here in these areas of these pillars. But where we really want to be is up here. This is where the leverage happens in these three key areas. Now, this disconnect that I just described thinking what we want is more clients. But what we really want is more leverage. This disconnect is the root cause for so many issues. Because when deep down, what you know is that every additional client that you take on means more work, means giving away more of yourself, means giving away more of your time. And when we say time, what we really mean is what? It's another 4-letter word. When you're giving away your time, you're really giving away what? You're giving away your life. That one precious life. So we do all sorts of things, some knowingly and some unknowingly, that ultimately self-sabotage our success because we don't want to give away more of our time. We get caught up in all sorts of unproductive behaviors and mindsets that don't serve us in our business. And when you're building a business that leaves you trapped, caught inside that time for money trap, it becomes a never-ending hamster wheel where you are effectively building that prison for yourself that you'll be stuck in forever until you decide to make the switch. Now, let me illustrate with an example, and I want to take you through another tool. This is a tool that you have access to yourself, and I'll show you where to get access to this tool. So there's this tool that I want to introduce you to, and we call it the Client Attraction Calculator. Now, I wouldn't encourage you to do this right now, but just know that you have access to this tool yourself. If you go to the screen right here, it looks a little something like this, and you scroll down below and you'll see something that says the Client Attraction Calculator. You can download this for yourself. I wouldn't do it right now. I'd encourage you to pay attention to the examples I'm going to take you through, but just know that after this session is over, you have access to this tool yourself. All right, so what you're looking at right now, when we go right here, what I want to take you to on this screen is a screen that looks a little something like this. Bear with me 1 second. Of course, Google decided to sign me out right in the middle of this session. Just bear with me 1 second as I take care of this. See if I can pull this in, sign in. Bear with me 1 second as I do this. For those of you ever wondering, is this really happening live? No, it's too smooth to be happening live. Of course not. Of course it's happening live. I am going to have to take care of this 1 second right now. And I just want to make sure that no one has on my team has accidentally logged into anything that may have caused this. All right. And let's see if I can get this working. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Looks good right here. Let's not do that right now. Let's get this to right here. And I can pull this up right now. Beautiful. All right. So what you're looking at right now is something we call the Great Client Attraction Calculator, the Client Attraction Calculator that will illustrate this point. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to walk you through a few different scenarios of what this can look like and really drive this point home, the importance of leverage, getting leverage in your business and in your life. So what you see in front of you is this calculator. And just to kind of orient yourself right here, this yellow column right here is current state. This purple column right here is your future desired state. We'll put in some different scenarios here in just a moment. The results are on the right-hand side with this green section right here. And this upper section is going to correspond to your monthly income. So monthly income. And then this lower section right here is going to correspond to the hours you work per week. So in this scenario right here, as I take this back down to 0, I'll do that right here. In this scenario right here, this is assuming that you're currently making, say, $10,000 a month. Your future goal is to make $10,000 a month, and nothing is changing. So whatever situation you're in right now is a situation that you're in the future. So in other words, you're not making any more money. You're not working any extra days of your life every single year. Nothing has changed. So wherever you are right now, you are stuck in this very moment in time. But let's take a look at a few of these scenarios in a little bit more detail as I pull this up on my screen like this. All right. Let's say, for example, that your goal in your business is that you want to go from making $10,000 a month, and it doesn't have to be 10,000. You can put any number that you want in there right now. If you're starting from scratch, you can use this. If you're looking to, if you're making $5,000 a month or $50,000 a month, whatever number makes sense for you. But let's say for the purposes of this exercise that you're currently making $10,000 a month. And your goal is to make $15,000 a month. You want to grow your income. That represents an extra $60,000 a year of income that you're making every single year, which is awesome. But when you're operating in a one-to-one paradigm, using the 3 pillars that we just looked at a moment ago, attract, enroll, deliver, and you look at the time required to generate that result, unless you are radically raising your rates, which of course you can do, but there is a ceiling to that. There's only so far that we can increase our rate to before the market just can't sustain it. Unless you're radically increasing your rate, the only way to generate additional income when you're working with clients one-on-one is to work more hours. So if you were to increase your income by 50%, it's going to mean that you're going to increase the number of hours that you're working 50% as well. You're going to go from working 40 hours a week to 60 hours a week. So what that means is, and this illustrates that hamster wheel, tired and trapped place that many experts find themselves in. They say, okay, I want to make more money. I want to make more income. I want to make more impact. But in order to do that, I got to work more hours. And so they run into a scenario that looks a little something like this. They're growing their income, but it means working more hours. And when you multiply 20 hours of extra work every single week over the course of the year, it means that you're working an extra 42 hours of your life, extra 42 days of your life every single year. And I don't know about you, but I don't have an extra 42 days a year to work. If you're like most people, where are you going to find 42 days? If you're like most people, you're probably already maxed out right now. You don't even have enough time to do the things that you want to do between your business, your family, yourself, your hobbies, all the things that you want to do and fit into your schedule. So we have to look at an alternative approach. So let's take a look at an alternative approach. Instead of increasing the amount of income that we generate by working more hours every single week, let's look at the simple, scalable, stress-free alternative when we decide to make the switch. And the switch looks like this. Let's say instead of doing 100% of our work one-on-one, instead we make a shift. And we say, you know what? This is the year that I am going to transition from doing some one-on-one work to some group work. And I'm going to scale back my one-on-one work and replace it with group work instead. Now, let's take a look at what can happen when you follow this scenario right here. If we scale our one-to-one work, where we are trading time for money, we scale that in half in this scenario right here from $10,000 a month to $5,000 a month. We're able to scale the number of hours that we work to serve those clients from, call it 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, to 20 hours a week. And when we have a group program, we're not necessarily having to take up the same amount of time to serve the clients that we're serving in a group setting. Instead, maybe it only takes us 10 hours a week to deliver that program. So in this scenario right here, we're not giving up any income that we're making right now. We're making the same amount of money that we're making right now in this example, $10,000 a month on the screen. But instead of working 40 hours a week, we're able to save 10 hours a week. Now, 10 hours a week corresponds to 21 days over the course of the year. In other words, you're able to get back an extra 21 days. Now let's take a look at what happens when we start scaling that group program. So this scenario right here, we've got $10,000 a month is what we're looking to make. But let's say that we raise our goal, and instead of making $10,000 a month, we decide that we're going to make $15,000 a month. That's our goal. But the income that we generate is entirely built from our group program. So instead of increasing the number of hours that we need to work in order to generate this income, we are very simply just adding more clients to our group program. And whether you've got 10 clients in your group program or 20 clients in your group program, the beautiful thing about this model that's so brilliant is that you can scale your impact without increasing the number of hours you need to work. So in this scenario right here, you can see we're able to grow. We're able to make an extra $60,000 this year simply by reorienting our attention, our time, our effort, and energy toward that simple, scalable group program. And at the same time, because we've shifted our attention from one-on-one to a group approach, we're able to get back an extra 21 days. 21 days. This is exactly what happened to me when I made that switch. When I went from a tired and trapped consultant making six figures, $160,000 a year, to 12 months later making $1.1 million. I was able to scale my income, scale my impact, and I was able to scale back the amount of hours I was working in my business. Now consider this to the alternative. The alternative is this, where you're making more money, yeah, but in order to do that, you're having to work more days. And who has that time? If you've got an extra 42 days to work full time this year, I would love to meet you because I have yet to meet someone who's got more time to put in. This is the scenario right here. Grow your income, grow your impact, and at the same time, get back your life. So I'd love to invite you to think about this for a moment and think about yourself and think about your own life. And I want to imagine, again, it's that same day that we explored earlier in today's conversation. It's a year from now today, 12 months from today, and you're looking back and you've been able to pick up an extra 21 days of your life. You've been able to get back 21 days of your life this year. How are you spending those 21 days? Just think about it. Like, think about your life. I'd love to know. Is it 21 days at the beach by the ocean? Are you spending those 21 days in a cozy cabin in a mountain somewhere? Writing a book? Reading a book? Is it 21 days with your kids or your grandkids? 21 days with your sweetheart, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife? Is it 21 days taking care of your health, going on a health retreat somewhere? Is it 21 days traveling to those places that you've had on your bucket list? 21 days investing in your own personal growth, investing in your education? 21 days. What would 21 days be worth to you? I'd love to invite you to reflect on this for just a moment. In fact, I'd love for you to think about how you might spend your 21 days in this scenario that we've gone through right here. In fact, I'm going to pull it up on the screen and I'll put a message that I'd love to invite you to be thinking about here as I pull it up right now. 21 days. How would you spend that extra time this year? Yourself. Go ahead. You can use the hashtag my21days as I have on the screen right now. How would you spend your 21 days? For me and my family, it's meant being able to spend time in nature, hikes, in the winter, skiing with my family, in the summer, on the river, on the lake, at the beach, traveling, being with family, relaxing, going to national parks and the places on our bucket list. But what about you? Where would you spend your 21 days? How would you spend those 21 days? Go ahead inside the chat. I'd love to read off a few of these here inside our little group. How might you spend those 21 days? I'm looking at this and seeing some great shares happening right here. Love it. Cabin with a family and a dog, says Catherine. Beautiful. 21 days of vacation I haven't taken in 6.5 years. That was me. Before I made the switch, I'll tell you what vacations look like for me. Vacations look like me being on a phone or on the computer all day. I'd have like an hour before work started to walk on the beach. I'd work all day. And then after I was exhausted and burnt out, have a few minutes at night before going to bed. That was my life before making the switch. After making the switch, been able to travel, be fully present, and more. Amina says 21 days on vacation. Tess is adventuring with family. Tony, 21 days traveling the States by customized bus. Oh, that sounds fun. Lolis, Asia, Maldives, for example, with my partner, Steve, family, additional time with my parents. Kendra, my 21 days sailing. Loving it. Clyde, my 21 days family vacations. And Tony, my 21 days scuba diving. Oh man, you guys are making me jealous here. I love it. Anna says, getting out in nature. Yasmin, with my family. Oh, gosh, so many good ones here. Hitting tennis balls, says Kevin. I love it. Joel says, traveling and visiting with my 21 days. Shannon says, mission trips. Man, I love that. Being able to pursue that cause that you believe in. Donna, riding horses in a foreign countryside. Love it. Mikolaj says, some creative retreat would be lovely. Pamela says, connecting with loved ones and exploring new experiences. Pierre says, my 21 days vacation by family, quality time, visiting new places around the world. Tara says, travel, see my sister, Wolfgang, island life with my family. Yeah, just close your eyes. Imagine those 21 days. I'm imagining my 21 days right now. Writing a book and reading all those must reads, says Kathleen. Eric, love it. Spend 1 week growing the business and then offerings, and then 2 weeks enjoying time with travel and family. Love it. Goldwyn says, my 21 days globetrotting, food, visiting the national park. Stephanie, get my husband's business up and running so we can spend the 21 days together. I love it. I love it. Bazita, traveling with family to beautiful places. Andre says, relax a little bit. Yes. Steve says, visiting my parents more often. Spending time with my 10 siblings, parents and grandparents. My 21 days, wife and kids and vacations. Love it. My life, 21 days, ranch outdoors, says Jess. Donna, getting my pre-vet cert to help wildlife in Africa or Canada. And it's not just a one-time thing. Imagine having 21 days like that every single year. That's what the switch can do. That's the power of leverage in your business. So now you might be wondering, so what's the solution? How do you make the transition? You've kind of hopefully gotten this idea that leverage is the key. What's the secret to living a more relaxed, rewarding lifestyle without burnout? How did I make the transition? Well, the way I made it is by building my entire business around something called a hybrid program. A hybrid program. Now, a hybrid program, what that means is that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing switch when you're making this transition. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to give up what you're doing right now in your business. If you're working with clients one-on-one, if you are doing something else as a side hustle, if you've got a day job that's paying the bills right now, it doesn't mean that you need to give up any of those things. In other words, you can continue doing what you're doing, but you're doing a hybrid. You're doing a hybrid program. If there are aspects to what you do that can only be done on a one-on-one basis, you can keep doing that. But if you have a done-for-you service, a software, any type of expertise that you're doing, you get to customize it to your unique set of skills and your unique set of needs. That's the beautiful thing about a hybrid program. So in other words, you get to play to your strengths. You get to design a program in such a way that supports your goals so you can build a business that works around your life instead of the other way around. You can build a business that gives you freedom and flexibility and fulfillment. This is what I've found to be true, the power of a hybrid program. So I'll show you a few examples of what hybrid programs can look like and what it can mean for you when you adapt and adopt this approach. So if you bear with me 1 second, I'll pull this up on my screen. And you'll see this is Dana. So Dana Abraham is someone who made this hybrid switch. So when she came across this success path and she started working with our team to put this into place, she literally broke and rebuilt her business. And in the process was finally able to unlock 7 figures, all while taking 45 days off per quarter. No joke. She just took 45 days off and had the most successful revenue year of her entire business history. She was able to take time off to write a book, which she's about to be releasing. She took her son to Africa on a trip, a mission trip, to see a school that she's helped fund and make possible. And you can see right here, she's a mom of 3. She's dedicated her entire life and business to supporting families with challenging children. She has a son who's on the autism spectrum. And she was able to transition from basically nonstop hamster wheel blogging, having a blog nonstop, to running a financially successful parenting coaching business in less than 2 years. And that blog has grown into a highly successful hybrid training and coaching business that now earns 7 figures and has done for 4 years in a row, all while allowing her to take time off. That's what a hybrid program can do. Now, Dana's done this in the parenting niche. So she serves parents. I'll give you another example. This is Jamal. Jamal is someone who literally went from struggling to make ends meet to building programs with over 7,000 people that he's now growing by over 500 members every single month on Evergreen. So Jamal's approach has been to serve a large number of people in a smaller way in the form of a hybrid membership program. He has over 7,000 people in this program, was recently named to the Inc. 5000 list of one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. And he's done it all while being a dad to 3 girls and an amazing husband to his wife, and continuing to put his family first, all while building his business. I'll give you another example. This is Maeve Ferguson. So Maeve is someone who is a business coach. Bear with me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Maeve is a business coach, and she was stuck in a hamster wheel where she was struggling to get things going in her business. She literally followed the steps in this process, the hybrid expert methodology, to use this approach step by step, went from 0 to 6 figures. She's a former corporate accountant. So for those of you working a day job right now, you might be able to relate in the financial service industry. And then she got sick. In fact, she got so sick from the career that she was working, the hours that she was working, that it actually put her in a wheelchair. That's how bad it got. Once she got better, she made the decision to make the switch and actually put this process into practice. She's enrolling high ticket clients. So she has a high ticket hybrid program that she's grown into solid 6-figure business. She's raising 2 young girls. She just had a baby not that long ago, and a growing family, all using this approach. And there are countless other consultants, coaches, and experts who are using this exact same process themselves. So you might be wondering, all right, so where do we go from here? Like, this hopefully has gotten you excited, inspired, jazzed up about the possibilities in your business of using this hybrid approach. You might be wondering, what's the next step? Well, the next step is in part 2 of this workshop. We are actually going to work together, you and I, in this group, to design your entire hybrid program together. Just like the program that you heard about from Dana, Jamal, Maeve, Joe, Carrie, Dr. Tanji, Neil, and much, much more. We're going to identify the elements that you want to include in your hybrid program, how you might structure your program, how you might use it to transition from where you are right now to where you want to go based on the goals that you've set for yourself in those 3 key pillars of attract, enroll, and deliver. In other words, what does hybrid look like for you? In fact, we're going to get access to a special template that you and I are going to work through together, and we're going to fill out together step by step that looks a little something like this right here. We're going to identify the core 4 elements of your hybrid program, plus the 3 optional extras. We're going to go through step by step and design this together in real time, so that by the end of this session, you're going to have exactly what to do and what to design, and clear view of what your program might look like, how you might structure it, what elements you might include yourself. In part 2 of this workshop, I'm going to show you how I actually went from making $160,000 as a burnt out consultant to $1.1 million in less than 12 months. And I'm going to show you screenshots of the proof and all that, so you can see these are real numbers. They're not made up numbers. They're actual real life numbers, by making the switch to this model in my own business, and why I've never looked back after making the switch. And in this session, we're going to see how other coaches, consultants, and experts are using the same hybrid expert method to build simple, scalable, stress-free businesses themselves. Plus, I'm even going to give you, I'll do it right now, a sneak peek into the top secret AI technology that takes you from being able to go through a process that previously would have taken weeks, months, or even years, and do it in just a matter of minutes. Being able to design your entire program using the power of AI right before your eyes, generating your features, your benefits, your bonuses, putting together your price point, and much, much more. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into all of this and more in part 2 of this workshop. Now, the first thing that I want to do is talk about next steps, where we go from here, what to do in the final minutes that we have here together, and where to go from here. So first things first, I want to make sure that you have part 2, the hybrid program solution, blocked off in your calendar. Same time as today, but that's happening on Wednesday this week, 2 days from today. Tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is an interactive live Q&A session. Because I imagine you got some questions. You have some questions about how this applies to you. You might have some questions about some of what we've covered here today. So I'm going to be hosting a special live Q&A session inside the Hybrid Expert private Facebook group. And I want to invite you to attend that session live. Now, in case you haven't already done so and you want to join us for this live Q&A session, let me walk you through how you register for the session, how you join us tomorrow, where you have an opportunity to get your questions answered by me live on the session. So as I pull it up on my screen, you'll see right here that we have a live Q&A session happening on Tuesday, June 13th, at the same time that we joined us here today. It's happening tomorrow. And you have an opportunity starting right now, actually, to pre-submit your question. So what question would you like for me to cover in this session? All you need to do is go to the link, hybridexpert.com/question, and it will take you inside the private Facebook group where you have an opportunity to get your questions answered. The post looks a little something like this right here. You'll see that you have an opportunity to get your questions answered. And I will say, first come, first serve. The faster you get your question in, the better chance that you'll be able to get that question answered. So that is something that you want to do immediately after this live session here today. If you're not already part of the private Facebook group, you want to make sure that you join, and you can do so by going to hybridexpert.com/FB. You'll be required to submit your application. This is an application-only group. We're trying to keep this group clean and high quality. There's no spamming. There's no sleazy sales or anything like that. We want to keep this high quality group. So you have to apply and be accepted in order to join. But again, the link is hybridexpert.com/question to get your question submitted and participate in this live Q&A that we are doing after the session ends here today. All right. With that being said, we're going to do one final exercise before we bring today's session to a close, and that is this. I would love to know, based on everything that we've talked about here today, all the exercises that we've gone through, all of the assignments, all of the models, all of the frameworks, everything that we've covered, what has been your single biggest takeaway from our first session here at part 1 of this workshop? Go ahead, use the hashtag takeaway inside the chat. And I'll take some time to read off the takeaways from today's session. And as you do that, as you stick around to the very end, I'll explain how to get access to my notes here today for those who want to get access to my personal private notes, and how to get access to all the remaining good stuff that's happening inside this workshop. So go ahead. Single biggest takeaway from today's session inside the live chat, use the hashtag takeaway that you see right there. And I'll take a moment to read off some of our biggest takeaways from today's session. Loving it. Beautiful. Yes, you will be able to post your question as soon as this live session ends. For those of you who are jumping the gun, early bird, trying to get it in, as soon as this live session ends, we'll be activating the post inside the Facebook group where you'll be able to post your question. Not any sooner than that. So the starting gate is going to open at the same time for everybody once this live session ends. Love it, love it, love it. Beautiful. Takeaways from today. Yes. Tess says takeaway, we don't want more clients, we want more leverage. Yes, totally changed my strategy. Love it. Connie says takeaway, I need to get my butt in gear and start a new group program. Love it. Elizabeth says takeaway, simplify and get leverage. Indeed. Veronica says takeaway, create a system for your business. Raquel says takeaway, I'm on the right track and the way I want to business will provide the success that I desire. Stephanie says takeaway, one word, all caps, leverage. Takeaway, says Steph, the value of the beginning with the desired end in mind, which is freedom and flexibility in my own lifestyle. Yes, just visualize those 21 days. How you spending those 21 days? What are you doing in those 21 days? Indeed. Takeaway, there is a way to create value for my clients and not have to work 24/7 to do it. Yes, you can absolutely live a relaxed and fulfilling lifestyle and serve your clients, sell to your clients, have success, and have freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment in your life. Clyde says, takeaway, follow a simple structured system that works. Love it. Sue says, takeaway, knowing where I'm at right now and where I want to go. Yes, take inventory of the levels in each of those 3 pillars of where you're at right now and where you want to get to 12 months from today. Jess says, quit spending time, start leveraging with group growth. Love it. Jenica says, takeaway, my 21 days and how to get that back. Julie says, I love the visual going from one-to-one to group in that framework. Julia says, takeaway, the systems and how to use it properly. Vicky says, takeaway, making the switch can change everything. Amina says, takeaway, when we give away our time, we give away our life. Yeah, it's powerful when you think about that, right? Michael says, takeaway, this is infinitely doable. Yes, indeed. I love it. Gary says, takeaway, one-to-many is the key to leverage. Decouple your income from your time. Janet says, takeaway, how to use hybrid to regain my life using a group and teams. Love it. Donna says, takeaway, since I became a single mom and had to launch my business, I've been working on all low leverage actions. This has given me insight and clarity for reinventing and rebuilding. I love it. Dawn says that I don't have to go from level 1 to level 5 in a single day. That time is acceptable for growth. Indeed. I love it. Steve says, takeaway, we want more clients, but we don't want more work. Abdullah says, I'm curious to attend part 2 of this workshop to learn about the deliver step and building that simple, scalable group program, what we call a hybrid approach. JD says, takeaway, decoupling from your income from your time paves the path to freedom and flexibility. Well said. I like the way that that's said. Brasilia, takeaway, work smarter, not longer, not harder. Sop says, takeaway, every additional client is actually more work, more time, and more of our life. We need a simple, scalable leverage system. That's my takeaway. Myrna says, takeaway, the power of leverage and the steps to get there. Here says, takeaway, leveraging your time will help you add more time back to your life. 21 days, indeed. So here's my challenge to you as we bring today's session to a close. For those of you who would like to do some extra credit, for those of you who would like to really go all in, I'd love to invite you inside the Facebook group to post that hashtag, my21days, and grab a picture. It could be a picture of where you want to spend that time. Maybe it's a picture of that destination that you want to travel to. Maybe it's a photo of you and your family having a good time as inspiration. Maybe it's something that you've been putting off that you've been wanting to do. Maybe it's a faraway destination that someday maybe you've had on your bucket list, but you want to bring it forward and fit into your 21 days. Maybe it is that cozy cabin on the mountain or that picturesque sunset at the beach. Maybe it is that activity that you've been wanting to do. But I'd love to invite you inside the Facebook group. Take a moment, hashtag my21days, post it. One of the things that I've learned, and this can be eerie, is that by publicly declaring your intentions, by publicly declaring your goals, by putting a visual to that goal, you would be surprised at what can happen when you put that visual in place and you put the steps toward making that a reality into practice. So go ahead, post it inside the group, post your question inside the group. Remember, the link is hybridexpert.com/takeaway, which we'll be putting in place in just a moment and making it go live immediately after this session ends, hybridexpert.com/question. And for those of you who want to know how to get access to all of the notes from today's session, which I'll pull up on the screen just to remind you, for those of you wondering, how do you get access to all those great notes in case you missed something, if you missed a segment, if you came in a bit late, if there wasn't something that you were able to write down fast enough, if you missed something along the way, then I want to encourage you to do this. Sign up for our secret text message thread. That secret text message thread, if you haven't already done so, can be accessed by going to hybridexpert.com/SMS. That's hybridexpert.com/SMS. And it's going to take you to a screen that looks a little something like this right here. And if you haven't already done so, get yourself registered. Join the secret text message thread. And if you've done so already, I'll be firing over these notes immediately after this session. If you haven't done so already, then you want to make sure that you do it right here, right now. Get yourself in so we can send these notes over to you. This is one of the exclusive extra benefits and bonuses that you get access to when you are part of that secret SMS thread. Again, that link is hybridexpert.com/SMS. It'll take you to that page. Put your best email in, put your best phone number in, click the text me button, and you'll get access to this right here, right now, today. With that being said, I think we're going to bring things to a close. And as a friendly reminder, one last time, for those of you who are interested or even just curious, we are going to go very deep into if I pull this up right here, see if I can do this. Too many screens to share. We are going to be talking about how to make this transition from tired and trapped to freedom and flexibility using the power of this key leverage point that we call the hybrid program. And that is going to be our focus of part 2 of this workshop. So between now and part 2, remember to get your questions submitted by going to hybridexpert.com/question. I'll be doing an impromptu live Q&A session where you have an opportunity to get your questions answered in tomorrow's Q&A session. Post early, post often. I'll be giving priority, first come, first serve, to questions that come in. And if you see someone else's question in that question thread that you really like yourself, hit the like button, hit the love button. It'll help me curate and focus on the questions that are going to be most helpful to the most number of people. So with that being said, that wraps up today's session. This is officially the close of part 1 of this workshop. And remember to join me for the Q&A session tomorrow and part 2 of this workshop, where we're going to be covering the hybrid program solution powered by AI. With that being said, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your evening. And before we wrap things up, I'll leave you with one final segment to meet just a few more of the experts, coaches, and consultants who are using this Ask Method hybrid expert approach in their own business to get freedom and flexibility in their life. So with that being said, let's end today's session with this video clip here.
I went from a 5,000 email list to a 25,000 email list.
I said, it'll be $10,000. He was like, okay, I want one.
50K of sale, 17K a week organically through the last webinar, and I actually tripled my income.
As a doctor, I want to understand the person in front of me. Been able to use the Ask method to understand our audience.
The coaching staff, who's been fabulous.
My dear Allison, who I adore.
Boot camps and you, but like boot camps from you.
Our coach, Nikki, is just, she has pushed us when we were stalling a little bit.
Carrie, she's just so supportive.
You got to stay in action. As long as you're taking steps, I don't care how small they are, you'll get there.
You need 2 things. You need the vision of where you're going, and you need the next step. And that's it.
What is the next step that's so simple it's impossible to fail? Because by taking that, you'll find your next step and your next step.
Dream big, but start small and be the person that you want your children to emulate.